I chose today's topic because it's our anniversary week, and I wanted to celebrate by giving you tips on how to strengthen your marriage. We'll be married 17 years on August 2nd. We actually have two wedding anniversaries. Our big church wedding was in Ireland. We got married in the same church that my parents did. I got ready in the house that my mom grew up in, and it was just very sentimental, and it's the one we celebrate. But we actually had a small wedding in New York the June before our big wedding, so our marriage license has the June date on it, but we really don't celebrate that. We do celebrate our dating anniversary, which is July 10th, and it also happens to be our son Michael's birthday, and also happens to be exactly the midpoint, 23 days after and 23 days before both of our wedding anniversaries. It was not at all planned that way, just really fun coincidences. And we'll actually be spending this year's wedding anniversary on an airplane, flying back from Greece, hopefully after an amazing vacation. And speaking of the number 23, we actually just celebrated 23 years together on July 10th. And Russ and I have always had a great relationship from the get-go, and it's because we've always made it a point to focus on a relationship, especially once we started having kids. It's not always easy to find the time, especially when you have little ones, and I think that's why today's topic is really so important. And side note, if you struggle to find time in your week outside of the daily grind and do all the things that light you up, to have that one-on-one time with your partner to nurture your relationship, to have time to take care of yourself and your needs, even a few of those wants, then please book a one-on-one time management session with me. I teach you how to get control of your schedule, how to focus on the important things, the non-negotiables, so that your life feels more fulfilling and less overwhelming. You could check out my website for more information, or check out the link in the show notes to book your session today. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work and time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Kerri, a wife, mom of three, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. Balancing motherhood, your marriage, and your career is not always easy. Actually, it's never easy. And you often find that romance takes a backseat to everything else. But keeping that spark alive in your marriage is so important for maintaining a healthy and happy relationship. Your kids will grow up and hopefully spread their wings at some point, and it will just be you and your partner as empty nesters. You need to have a life outside of your kids, or that transition is going to be so much harder. Luckily, I still have a few years left, but I tell my kids all the time that it's important for Russ and I to do things alone because I'm stuck with him forever. I joke, of course, but prioritizing that one-on-one time with each other is also teaching our kids the importance of nurturing your marriage. So hopefully they are taking mental notes. And now it's your turn to take some notes. So let's jump into my tips to help you infuse a little extra romance and fun in your marriage, even amidst the chaos of your busy life. Number one, prioritize date nights. Even if you can't get out of the house to go on dates, prioritize adult-only time for you and your partner. Maybe after you put the kids to bed, you plan a nice dinner, order in if you have to, or maybe just dessert and watch a movie, cuddling on the couch together. We try to do a date night or a date lunch at least once a month where we get out of the house, just the two of us. Our go-to is dinner because we're foodies, and I really love a good meal where neither of us has to cook. But this year we're trying to get a little more adventurous. We were supposed to have a beach day, just the two of us, but I went and got sick and ruined that one. I'm hoping one day this summer we'll be able to do it, but our vacation days are pretty much accounted for the rest of the summer, so we'll see about that. But you should plan your date nights ahead. When you're building out your weekly plan, put some one-on-one time in there. Consider it a non-negotiable and get it on your calendar. And if you really can't get it done weekly, then at least commit to once a month. Start somewhere. And if you're on a budget, ask a mom friend if they could watch the kids one night, and you'll return the favor when she wants to go out on a date night too. And you don't have to spend money to spend time with each other. There's always a free summer concert or things going on in our area, and I'm sure you can find something too. And make sure you mix it up. Don't just stick to the same routine. If going out is your thing, which it's a lot of people's things, like mine, switch it up. Try new restaurants, or better yet, take a cooking class together. that one's on my list of things to do with Russ this year, even though he does not need any cooking lessons. It's more me, but it is going to be something fun. Number 2, communicate openly. Communication is really key in any relationship. It helps keep you aligned, helps strengthen your emotional connection, and it helps you get stuff off your chest before it becomes a major issue. It's also important to watch the way you communicate. If your partner is already upset about something or stressed or trying to get ready for work, that may not be the best time to talk, especially if it's about something serious. I walk Russ to the train every morning when he has to go into work, and we use that time to talk, to connect, to align on things. We also try to go on walks at night together for one-on-one time. And if there's something we really need to talk about, just the two of us, that's when we do it. I highly recommend it if you can, even if you just spend some time when the kids go to bed to just check in, see how each other's day went. It really goes a long way. And don't just stop on how your day was. Be open and honest about your feelings, your desires, your goals, your dreams, and encourage your spouse to do the same. Number 3, show gratitude and in their love language. A thank you goes a long way, even for the little things. You may do a lot more than your partner does around the house. So when they do something, you may be like, yeah, so whatever, I do everything else. But showing them appreciation in their love language goes a long way, and maybe they'll start reciprocating. I have a whole episode dedicated to understanding your partner's love language. So check it out. I'll link it in the show notes. But understanding how your partner feels and wants to receive love, be it through words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving a gift, physical touch, can really help you express love in the ways that most resonates with them. Russ is more of a words of affirmation and physical touch type of person. I like words of affirmation, but I am a totally act of service type of girl. Russ knows that when he does something for me, it means a lot more to me than buying me flowers or jewelry. And he's learned over the years that I am not into receiving gifts unless it's concert tickets. I will always take a concert ticket. But even flowers, as much as I love them, I hate spending money on things that I don't need. Number 3, surprise each other. I love surprises, but I think I'm actually kind of hard to surprise. But surprises are great. They keep the excitement alive and show your partner that you're thinking about them. And they don't have to be something big. If your partner brings a lunch to work, you could slip a love note in their lunchbox. You could send a flirty text during the day or surprise them with their favorite treat. I sometimes surprise Russ at the train station after work. I'll walk down with Brody and be waiting for him when he gets out of the train. Just a small little something to let him know I was thinking of him. And then we get a little extra one-on-one time on the walk home. You can also do big surprises. I love to surprise Russ with an experience gift on his birthday. Last year, I surprised him with reservations to Delmonico's in New York City. I've eaten there before because I used to work a block away from it for like 15 years, but this trip was super special. If you're ever in New York City and looking for an amazing steak and have a little money to spend, I highly recommend going to Delmonico's and getting the Delmonico's steak. I'm not a huge steak or meat person in general, but I'm not exaggerating. It is probably the best steak I've ever had and probably the best thing I've ever tasted. No exaggeration. I definitely want to go back. I want Russ to learn how to make that steak because it melted in your mouth. That surprise and experience was definitely something we both benefited from, but you could do something that's just for your partner. The year before, I gifted Russ a driving experience where he got to pick a luxury car and drive it around a racetrack. He picked a Lamborghini, and it was just so fun to watch him all excited driving a fancy car that we will never own at a way too fast speed around a racetrack. And it's probably something he'll never have a chance to do again in his life, but it was a nice one-time experience. Number 4, share responsibilities. This is a big one for me, and it probably is for you too. As working moms, so much falls on our plate, and all we want is a little help around the house. And if your partner isn't the type to help, or when they get home, they just want dinner ready for them and to veg out on the couch, that can cause a lot of resentment. And this is where that communication piece comes into play too. If you're openly communicating all the things that need to get done around the house and what you need help with, it goes a long way. This goes back to the family meetings I've been talking about recently. If you get into the habit of having family meetings where you're creating time and space to openly communicate with your family on what your needs are and what needs to get done, then you'll more likely get some of that support. Your spouse is called your partner for a reason. You are in this together, and when you can divide and conquer, it will help you feel the balance you are craving and that us mamas really need. And there are some tasks that you can actually do together and make it fun or use it as your one-on-one time to chat and connect. Tasks like making dinner together or folding the laundry are perfect for this. Number 5, stay physically connected. Physical touch is important in a healthy marriage, and physical affection actually releases the hormone oxytocin, which is often referred to as the love hormone or the cuddle hormone. It makes you feel connected to your partner, and when oxytocin is released, it actually reduces your cortisol level, which is your stress hormone. So, lots of science behind this one. I'm not really a science person, but you could look into it. But physical touch can be as simple as holding hands on a walk, kissing hello, kissing goodbye, a hug. These small gestures each day can really go a long way. Russ and I are very affectionate. I know a lot of people are not into PDA or public displays of affection, but it's not something that ever bothered me. I mean, we don't go overboard, but we hug, we kiss, we hold hands. I don't even pay attention to who's around us. Our son, Michael, hates it when we kiss, but I think it's also important for the kids to see the affection. And I do want to touch on the deeper intimacy, which you all know what I'm talking about. Make sure you are making time for it. It can be challenging, and kids can be serious roadblocks, but where there is a will, there is a way, and that is not something you want to lose in your relationship. Number 6, foster emotional intimacy. Physical intimacy isn't the only kind of intimacy that helps strengthen your connection. Emotional intimacy is important too. This means having deep conversations, not just the check-in on how your day went and chatting about the kids. Actually talk to each other about your hopes, your fears, things that are weighing on your mind. I went through a period a few years ago when I hit a place where I was just so unsatisfied with everything outside of my family and outside of my marriage. I started questioning everything, especially my purpose. Work was just unfulfilling. I really don't know how I ended up in the corporate world to begin with when I really love to serve and help people. I had such a need to be doing more and to be making a difference in this world, as cheesy as that may sound. And I felt a lot of guilt for wanting something more when God has literally blessed me with so much. And I'm going to be honest, during this period of time of trying to find myself and my purpose, I felt like I was having an internal battle with myself, and I started to feel like I could easily fall into a depression, which I hated because I do have so much in my life to be grateful for, but I just felt like there was such a piece of me that was missing. There was just this void. As I was trying to figure out what my next step needed to be, which, spoiler alert, all of this deep soul searching led me to doing this podcast. But there was a period when I didn't even talk to Russ about it. I didn't tell anyone about it. I kept it to myself because of the self-doubt and the self-limiting beliefs, and it was pretty lonely. I finally had the courage to talk to Russ about it, which is absolutely ridiculous because we are pretty open about everything, and it's something that I should have just talked to him about in the beginning because he really gives the best advice, but I think I just needed to figure some things out on my own. But when I finally started to talk to Russ about it, I felt so much better, and he was so supportive. I don't even know that he had the faith that I would be as successful as I am right now, but he was encouraging. He even surprised me at Christmas with a podcast mic for my gift. And I can't even put into words how much happier I've been since I started this podcast. I pour my heart into every episode. When I'm working on the podcast and all that goes along with it, it never feels like work. And I pray every morning that God blesses it and that this show grows so that I can help as many moms out there in the world be happier too. And a side note, you can help me grow by sharing the show with a mom friend. And if there's an episode that really helped you, that really resonated with you, share it with a friend that you think it could help too. Post it on your social and share the link. And if you're in a mom group on Facebook, you can share an episode that you think the group would like too. You could leave the show a review. That helped me get more visibility on Apple Podcasts. And follow the show so you can get notified when I release a new episode. All these little things take a few minutes, which is a great segue into number 6. Support each other's goals. Life shouldn't stop when you have kids. If you have hopes and dreams and goals before kids, you don't just give up on them. Having kids may slow down your progress, especially if you have a newborn or a toddler, because they just demand so much of your time and your attention. But they grow up way too fast, mind you. And there is a lot of learning and growing to do in those years too, especially if you're ambitious. Those years were building the foundation of this podcast. I didn't know it back then, but I could see it clear as day now. So if you or your partner have big goals, sit down and talk about them and figure out how to support each other. Maybe your goal is to get healthier. Support each other by creating healthier recipes for meals, giving each other time to go to the gym, or setting up a dedicated space in your home for workouts. If you live in the Cranford, New Jersey area, a little shout out to Becky from Home Gym Action Plan. She can help you set up a home gym area and give you a personalized workout plan. So check her out. I'll link her info in the show notes. And maybe it's not a goal. Maybe your passion is a hobby. Maybe you love to sew and want to take a sewing class, or maybe you want to join a pickleball team. Whatever it is, talk to your spouse about it. And this goes both ways. If your spouse has a passion or a hobby, be supportive of them too. Figure out how to give each other time in your week so you can both have time for things outside of your family and outside of each other. But side note, it could be really fun to do the hobby together, like pickleball. That seems to be the crazy days. Treat yourself to a babysitter for an hour or two and go play pickleball together. Whatever it is, you both need something outside of your daily work and family routine. And supporting your partner's ambitions shows that you're invested in their happiness and success, which also deepens your connection. Number 7, encourage outside friendships. You should have a life outside of your family. And I'm not going to lie, it took me years to find a group of girlfriends. I always had friends, but not a local group that I could do impromptu girls' nights with. That didn't happen until the past few years. And I will say I'm very blessed because we have a great group of couple friends that we have the best time with. And the wives are actually my girls. So it actually makes it really easy. And the boys are great friends too. So they do their guys' things too, like golfing. But it's healthy to have a night out without each other, even a trip. I just took my first girls' trip to Vegas last November. It was actually my first time in Vegas too. And it was an absolute blast. And Russ took a not as extravagant boys' trip to the Poconos, but we each had a few nights to spend with our friends away from each other. And I missed them, but it was really great to have that time. Number 8, say I'm sorry and forgive. This is hard for some people, and it can really cause some serious tension and resentment in a relationship, but it's so important. No one is perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Your partner isn't perfect. We all get emotional, stressed, have internal struggles that we don't always want to share. We make decisions without thinking about how it might affect other people. We say something in the heat of the moment, perceive a situation to be something it's not. I could go on and on and on. But a simple I'm sorry goes a long way. It may not always be the easiest thing to say, but those two simple words can make a huge difference in your marriage. In the same token, forgiving and not holding grudges when your partner says I'm sorry goes a long way too. If whatever happened doesn't have a huge impact on your life, let it go. Life is way too short. And if you are openly communicating with your spouse daily, a lot of these little moments of tension and making decisions without discussing, or the buildup of resentment because you feel you're not being supported, will not be there as much because you are constantly communicating with each other. I can honestly say that Russ and I have never gotten into a fight. We might get a little passionate about a topic, but we have never really raised our voices or talked to each other with anger. We had one moment of really high tension during our wedding planning, which was caused by other people. But other than that, we have always been great communicators. He's always been super supportive, and he has always been amazing at getting my mindset in check and putting things into perspective. So if you're listening, Russ, thank you. You're amazing. Number 9, laugh together. I think Russ is one of the funniest people I know. I think I'm funny too, but I'm pretty sure he's funnier than me. He makes me laugh like no other, and it's one of the things I really love about him. Who doesn't love to laugh? Laughter is a powerful bonding tool because it can really diffuse tension and create some fun memories. Sorry, I'm just laughing thinking about how funny Russ is. And those of you that know him, that listen to the show, you know he's funny. Some things you could do together is to watch a comedy special together. I don't like watching anything too serious or too scary. So if Russ wants to watch something together, our go-to is a stand-up comedy or a rom-com. Ted Lasso was my absolute favorite show. That show made me literally laugh out loud. So if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. I feel like everyone needs a Ted Lasso in their life. But another great way to get some laughter in your relationship is to be playful. If your family is not too competitive, playing board games is a lot of fun. I highly recommend Telestrations. It's like a Pictionary passing game, and as long as your kids are old enough to draw, they are old enough to play. And it's great for all ages. We have a party pack that goes up to 12 players, and we bring it with us everywhere. And the laughs that come out of that game are just priceless. So I highly recommend it. I'll link it in the show notes as well, so check that out. Number 10. Seek outside support if you need it. If you feel like you're struggling in your marriage, there is no shame in getting outside support like a counselor or a therapist. Life is too short to waste any time being unhappy. And if you don't feel like your spouse would be open to counseling, which can be tough for some men, it's a pride thing, then maybe start by going yourself. Talk through whatever you are personally struggling with and get the support you need personally. And maybe your spouse will see your progress and maybe they'll be more open to going. Maybe they will go on their own and then you could do a few sessions together. There are plenty of family counselors out there. And there's such a stigma out there around getting help, but just think of it as a coach. People come to me because they want to be more efficient with their time and balance all the things on their plate so they can create time and space for the things that make them happy. You get a personal trainer because they teach you how to use the equipment and create a plan to help you get physically fit. Think of a counselor or a therapist in that aspect. They are just a coach that helps you work through what you're struggling with, and they give you the tools and the path you need to be happier. To me, that's more important than any other kind of coach you can get. So if this sounds like something you need, make it a priority. They can be pricey and your insurance might not cover it, but can you really put a price tag on your happiness? And look into your work benefits. I know my company offers free counseling and therapy services. It's outside of our health insurance, so you don't have to have their health insurance in order to get these services. Also, check out podcasts on this topic. There are literally podcasts on any topic you can think of. Just go to that search bar, type in whatever you're struggling with, and see what comes up. Spicing up your marriage as a busy working mom is all about making intentional efforts to connect, communicate, and to really support each other. It's about finding joy in those little moments, being present, and nurturing your relationship amidst the chaos of your day, and really taking the time to nurture your relationship. Remember, a strong and loving marriage not only benefits you and your partner, but it also really sets a positive example for your children. So I hope you found this episode helpful, and I strongly encourage you to share it with your partner as a great icebreaker. You can maybe even listen to it together. Pause after each tip and have a conversation if they're up for it. Or simply just say that you listened to a podcast that you thought was interesting and encourage them to listen to and see what happens. If you have a tip that you'd like to share, come on over to our Facebook group, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms, and tell us all about it. And if you don't already follow the show, take a second and click that follow button so you'll never miss another episode. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Kerri Pat. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes, and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram stories, and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life. Or come on over and hang out in our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Kerri Pat.